afternoon and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. How you doing, guys? I hope you're well. I hope everybody is fine. I've just come back from a very early start, done my work for the day, and I thought, hang on a minute, everyone's out. So obviously the family have taken themselves out for a bit of a jolly up the common. So I am going to I'm going to record a quick video. It's one that's been a long time coming, as I say quite often, and this one is one for you real fragrance enthusiasts. This is not a perfume for those that are dipping their toe into the world of perfumery and looking for something a little bit more interesting. This is for people that really do appreciate perfume. And I know that sounds really patronising, and it's not meant to, because today we're going to be talking about something rather special, and it's from the house of... By the way, before we go any further, I've just got to say there's going to be an awful lot of mispronunciation and butchery of language. I'm often embarrassed about my lack of ability to pronounce anything that's slightly out of my normal remit. So please bear with me today. Obviously, no offence is intended to anyone, but I can't get my head around some of these more intricate words that are going to be coming. So this is coming from the house of Atyab Al Marshoud, or Marshoud. I think Atyab Al Marshoud is probably the best way to put it. And it's called Marshoud, as you can see there, 5. Now, the house of Atyab Al Marshoud was founded in 1925, so it's an old house in Kuwait, and it used to be, it was founded by a guy called Suleiman Al Marshoud. Now he's no longer with us, but it's the second and third generations of his family that are continuing in the fine tradition of making these wonderful perfumes. Now Marshoud 5 is something else. This, a good friend of the channel's actually, Miss Sand, sent me a sample of this nearly almost a year ago. By the way, it's our birthday. We are a year old apparently, so Questioning Sense as a channel is a year old. So happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, Rich. Anyway, I digress. Miss Sand sent me a sample of this some time ago and I was really, really blown away by it. And then I kind of put it with some other samples and sort of forgot about it. And then I refound it and tried it and thought, what was I doing ignoring this? You know, why have I let this go to pasture? I should be, you know, I should be hunting it down. So I did. Now, this is incredibly difficult to find. There is a shop, bizarrely, in London, which I've been past many, many times over the years, but it never appears to be open. So I don't know if it's just like a shop front and they have an office in there. I'm not entirely sure. But they're quite well known in the Middle East and Kuwait, and I think Qatar also seem to stock them. Now, Marshoud 5 is one of 5 perfumes in this collection, and they have various other fragrances on their website as well. They also sell a lot of bakur, you know, sort of incensey stuff that you can burn and, you know, enjoy and enlighten and enrich your room and that kind of thing. But obviously perfumes is kind of what we're here to talk about. And the only one I've tried is a Marshoud 5, and it was a bit difficult to get. I ended up buying a bottle from eBay. This isn't a cheapie, by the way. It's not the most expensive product. I think I paid about £40, £45 for this bottle, and it's a 30ml, as you can see. So it's in terms of cost effectiveness, it's quite an expensive one, but my God, it's worth it. So if we look at the notes listing was really, really tricky because all I could find online was wood and patchouli, and there's obviously a lot more to this. So I reached out on Instagram and spoke to people at Al Marshoud and sort of sent them a message and told them how much I was enjoying the perfume and if they could assist me with a note breakdown, because I want to give you guys as much information as I can. Now, I've spoken to the sort of 3 other people I know that have tried this, and we're all kind of in a similar camp as to what's actually in it. But the official notes I've been given are woods, patchouli, oud, and vetiver, and that's it. I think there's a lot more than that in this. I don't know, it's such an interesting fragrance. The other thing I have to say is it's massive. The performance is staggering. It's really, really big. You spray it on your skin and it's bang, it just opens up everywhere. But it has an amazing sillage. It's one of those perfumes that's incredibly intense the closer you get to where you sprayed it. But the further away you get from it, the more airy and the more, I don't know, intoxicating. It's really intriguing. It's very, very enchanting. And it's also one of the hardest I feel like I'm sort of talking about one of Gaultieri's again. It's such a difficult fragrance to describe. It's intense, and then it changes. There's almost, I agree that there's certainly woods in it, and there's certainly patchouli in it. There's certainly oud, and there's a lot of oud in it, but it's a clever oud. It doesn't smell fecal at all, but it does have some animalics in there that come up, and you do get that kind of, whoa, you know, it's a potent fragrance. And other times, you know, when you spray it, first of all, you're like, wow, what is that? You know, you're really intrigued by it. And it's almost sour. There's no sweetness to it at all to start off with. And then other things start to sort of appear and start to shine. And then, you know, the patch becomes, there is patchouli there, but it's not like patchouli I've smelt before. It's not like a medicinal patchouli, or it's not chocolatey. It's almost borderline turning to like slightly medicinal, but it's not. At the opening on this, within a few minutes, I get a vibe that almost smells like you're coming up to a beach. There's like salt in the air. It's not an aquatic, but you get this kind of salty, almost like an ozone sort of vibe coming on top of the sand. But the sand isn't wet sand. It's very dry, scorched sand. And then there's that. This is where I'm sure there's vetiver in this as well, because you do get a kind of a greenness coming from it, but the greenness is like a scorched green. I think, in fact, it does remind me a little bit of Nudiflorum, the Nasamoto that I reviewed fairly recently in that respect. The Marshoud 5 and Nudiflorum don't smell at all alike, but there are certain notes in there that you kind of pick up and you think, oh, they could be a bit familiar. And it's that scorched earth. It's that scorched greenness, you know, like... it's akin to, you know, like the pampas grass that you sometimes see, you know, growing in dunes and stuff like that, you know, the long stuff. That's what it reminds me of. But with this hot, scorched sand underneath it, then there's an oud vibe to it. It's really, really intoxicating, but it's a very regal scent. This is the scent that an important man wears. And I often, and I always say, actually, anyone can wear anything, and I'm sure a really confident woman will be able to wear this. But to me, this is the smell of a warrior coming from a desert. You know, this kind of uber masculine sort of horse, you know, on a horse riding along, charging away. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it. It's a potent, powerful, dramatic statement of a fragrance. It's beautiful, but I love this slight, almost seaside hint. As I say, it's not aquatic. I don't get the sea, but I get maybe some breeze from the sea. There's also a little bit further into it, you'll get this kind of weird vanilla-y like vibe from it. Now, it's not sweet and it's not creamy, but if the way I can describe this in my head is if you were to take a vanilla pod and instead of opening it and scraping the vanilla out and putting it into your cooking, keep the vanilla pod, put a dry frying pan on a hob and heat it up, and then toast the vanilla pod, and that's the kind of thing you get, because there's not, it's like a dustiness again with this one. It's not smoky, but there is like a dustiness to it, which again just helps reinforce that image of the desert. But with this vanilla pod that's been scorched being into this is a completely dry fragrance. There's no moisture in it at all. It doesn't feel moist. There's no moisture coming from it, but it's an intense fragrance. And the thing is with it, it doesn't go away. Whenever I've worn this indoors and I've worn it out, I've come back, I've gone to bed, and the next day it's still there. It doesn't go. The performance is staggering. This juice in here, it must be sort of extract de parfum. This is so long lasting. The longevity is absurd. And, you know, as I say, this is quite an expensive perfume for the amount of liquid you get, but 30 mils of this will probably last me my lifetime. It's not one that I'm going to wear every day for sure, but it's one that I really do enjoy wearing, and one that I'm going to really enjoy wearing. It's a beautiful fragrance, but my oh my, what an intriguing fragrance. This certainly, if you've got any interest in sort of oudy fragrances, or, you know, far out there fragrances, I can guarantee you will be the only person, if you bought this and you wore it, you would be the only person that you would possibly bump into. It's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I think there's some saffron in here as well. There's a kind of a weird polishy sort of note to it, which kicks in as the woods come in. If if you get a chance to sample it, I don't know how you're going to sample it, but please do. It's an extraordinary piece of work. It really is a great piece of perfumery. I was talking to Miss Anne, who sent the sample to me that set me up on, set me off on the journey of finding Marshoud, and we both agreed if this little bottle here came in a 50ml bottle and it was in one of the Xerof Oud Stars collection, everyone would be going mad for it and people would be paying hundreds and hundreds of pounds for it. I think it's that good. I think this could easily fit into the Oud Stars lineup from that Xerof collection. I really do think so. It's that good, but it's not going to be for everyone, and I can't stress that enough. I don't want people rushing out and buying it and then thinking, bloody hell, what is that? That's unwearable, because you do need to have an interest in sort of Middle Eastern perfumery. And as you've seen in quite a few of my videos, I've got a lot of bottles of Middle Eastern perfumery, a lot of them from the Middle East. A lot of them are very cheap, and this one's obviously a little bit more expensive, but this is one serious bit of work. It's I think it's amazing. There is a little bit of a citrus note in here as well, but it's not lemony or anything. It's more of a vibe. You kind of think there is some citrus in here, but there's never. You won't think, oh, that's a lemon or that's anything like that, because it's just blended into everything. So you get this almost. There's a little bit of light coming out of the darkness from it, is probably the best way I can describe it, because it doesn't smell like any citrus that you've ever smelled, but you get the feeling there is something in there. I think it's a bit like when you're cooking a heavy dish and you splash some lemon juice in it just before you serve it, just to freshen it up and to liven it up. And I think that's what the citrus does in there. If there even is any citrus in there, it may be something to do with the vetiver. But I do get this tiny bit of freshness that sits in all this heaviness around it. But it's an extraordinary fragrance. I'm absolutely blown away by it. Beautiful bit of work. I have no idea. I mean, hopefully when things come back to normal and everything starts opening, I'll get a chance to find out if the shop, I think it's Old Brompton, if the shop there is actually a shop that stocks perfume, because if so, I will go in and try and find out more information about it and get some information on the rest of the collection to come back to you about, because it's, well, I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely amazing. I think it's totally unique. A really clever bit of perfumery. And if you do want to feel like a warrior prince or something like that, then wear a bit of this and go out and conquer the bloody world. It's it's just an intoxicating fragrance. And I think I have waffled on for quite some time. So listen, I hope you guys are well. Thank you for all your support over the past year. Making these videos for me and Rich has been an absolute pleasure. We really enjoy doing it, and we're going to keep doing it. And thank you for giving us a purpose to do it by watching them. It feels great for us. And obviously we're going to continue to do what we're going to do. There'll be a lot more videos coming out, so please stick with us and see what else we can come up with. Anyway, I hope you're well. Stay safe, and we will see you on the next video. Thanks very much. Cheers and bye.